Me again, and one of the popular questions I get here is, what bait do you use there, mate? Well, that depends exactly what you want to catch, time of year, what the weather conditions are, etc, etc, etc. But there you go, maggots. Maggots will catch everything that swims. You've got to remember though, you've got to throw a few in, okay? If you just put one on the hook and you leave the rest in the pot, you're not likely to catch a lot. You've got to get the fish feeding. So throw half a dozen around your float all the time and you're pretty well guaranteed to get bites. In the winter, when things are tough, maggots, pinkies, smaller hooks, smaller lines, a little less feed, but still a 2 or 3 all the time, and that'll catch your fish in the winter. Then worms, lovely things, lovely worms. They'll catch you everything that swims, but especially perch. And perch are horrible fish because they take the hook right down their throat. So unless you know what you're doing, I would avoid worms because you end up spending half the day trying to get the hook out of perch's throats.
Been there, haven't you?
If you don't like the creepy crawlies, then you've got lots of other options. You've got bread, which will catch everything that swims apart from perch. Someone will say, I've caught a perch on a bit of bread before. Yes, it does happen now and again. They chase it, think it's a little fish. So then you've got pellets. These are ready done pellets. They're already softened little pellets and you can put these on the hook. Very good. Catch every fish that fits, swims, but generally you're talking about your little crucians, your tench and your bream, like these, and your big carper cane. They come in different colours, green, black, red, any colour you fancy. Don't ask me what colours the fish like, I haven't got a clue. And then if you want to go for the bigger fish, you got these little pop-up wafters, I think they call them, or dumbbells. They hook them on a band and sit them up off the bottom on your long lines. They've got these lovely colourful ones that, believe it or not, the fish seem to like. God knows why. They look awful to me, but they're like sweets in the sweet shop. A very popular bait is Sweetcorn. It's the cheapest bait you can possibly use. A tin of Sweetcorn to keep you going all day, and you'll catch some really nice fish here with Sweetcorn. So that's a good one. Again, if you want to go with pellets, you've got an option. These pellets here, expander pellets, they're dried. You have to soak them and use a special pump to pump them up to make them sink, otherwise they're useless to you. Or you can use these ones, the Sonu ones. They made a pro pellet, exactly the same sort of thing, but these you can just soak them, you don't need the pump with them, so you can use these. These are very good as well. They're both good. These are okay. Works out £3 for a handful. That works out £4 for a big bag full, which will make about 10 times the amount you've got in there. So this is more beneficial, but you have to buy a pump, which will probably cost you about a tenner nowadays, I think. These ones, I think these are £4 at the moment.
And all of these are sold here, aren't they?
Yeah. They'll probably be £5 next time they come in, because everything's going up like it's going out of fashion prices. So that's your bait options. You can use meat, you can use boilies, all sorts of things. We don't restrict what you use here, so long as you're sensible about it. I don't want people cutting up loads of meat and throwing loads of meat in the water because it's got lots of oils and fats in it, which isn't good for the water, it's not good for the fish. Equally with boilies, if you want to put one on the hook to catch a carp, not got a problem with that. But if you're firing big bagfuls of them up all over the lake, that's not good for the fish either. So be sensible about it. Don't stick loads of stuff in the water that the fish can't eat. All it does is it just ruins the water. So that's your baits. And then ground baits. Oh, again, sweets in the sweet shop. let me try and give you a rule of thumb. Ground baits like that one, it's got lots of fish meal in it. It's a good ground bait that'll bring your carp and your tench and your bream in, and that's a good ground bait. And the green one, and they do a golden colour one. They're probably more of your summer fish meal baits, ground baits. In the winter, you might want to go for something darker. The rule of thumb is in the winter, use a darker ground bait. Whether it's fish meal or not, use a darker ground bait in the winter. Then
why use a ground bait at all?
Well, yeah, with the ground bait is a good way of bringing the fish into your swim and concentrating them on the bottom, and just bringing the fish into the swim generally. Even if you're not catching them on the bottom, you've got a bit of a smell going on in the water that will bring the fish into the area. So even if you're loose feeding maggots over the top of it and the fish don't want to feed on the bottom, that smell in the water will help to attract them in. So a ground bait will work quite well. And again, you can put it on a feeder, so cast it out as well on a feeder and that sort of thing. If you don't want to go for your roach, then you want to do fish a ground bait which hasn't got the fish meal in. So avoid the fish meal. Yet, having said that, since that so much fish meal's going into the rivers and the lakes now, the roach are beginning to get a taste for it anyhow. So, but generally, you go for the ground baits that haven't got a fish meal content. Probably more so in the winter, when you're looking for roach and smaller silverfish. But really, they'll eat whatever you chuck at them at the end of the day. You know, you can really make it complicated if you like, but generally speaking, it's how you present the bait and how you're feeding it, which is the most important thing about fishing, not exactly what you're putting in the water. This is good gear, micro pellets. They breed fish on this stuff. It's really good for the fish. I love you using it because it's good for the fish. Put that as a ground bait in a bit of water. You can put it around a method feeder. You can put it in an open feeder, or you can just cup it in or throw it in as a bowl. It's a really good ground bait. That'll bring your bream and your carp around. Carp love this stuff. Carp will love this stuff. In fact, if I'm fishing a competition with carp on some allowed to be weighed in, I avoid using it because it brings carp in the swim and they can be a bit of a pain. So micro pellets, good. You can mix that with your other ground bait as well. So additives. There's 1,000,001 different additives on the market. Sweets in the sweet shop. Personally, there's two that I think you might want to use. Liquid worm, awful stuff, but it does seem to work, and a lot of match anglers use that. And hemp seed, since the year dot, anglers have been using hemp seed. This is a lovely additive, and you can use it on hook as well. It's a lovely additive. I would say they are the only two additives that I will use when I'm fishing. So they're the two I would recommend. But I could fill a factory up with them of different additives if you like.
When you say additives, they're not chemical based, though, are they?
I don't know. I don't know what's in them, but this presumably is chopped up worms.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty much.
And that is hemp seed, so that's probably as natural as you're going to get. And there's loads of other dips and things and glogs and glugs and pineapple juice and God knows what else that's on the market. And yeah, it's a minefield. If you've just started fishing, stick to them two, mate. I would say that's probably as good as you're going to get.
And again, everything that people are seeing here.
We sell this. So we don't shed loads of different ground baits and stuff here. I tend to try and buy the stuff that people would use here. we're not a tackle shop. I'm not trying to compete with the tackle shops out there. I just want to put the stuff here that people need. If they turn up on a Sunday morning, the tackle shops are shut. They've got some bits and pieces they can buy here and get themselves fishing. So, so that's your additives. That's your baits. That's your ground baits. And I'll just show you quickly how to knock up a bit of ground bait. And here's this one I've opened earlier. Bit of ground bait. Put it in your bowl. Always add water to your ground bait, not the other way round. Give it a bit of a mix up. A little bit more. Oh, it's probably too much.
So this is where your years in the building
yeah.
comes into its own.
Yeah. That's it.
So what consistency are you looking for?
Well,
Gordon,
what you want to try and do
to
is make it wet enough so it will sink, but fluffy enough so it doesn't go into great big chunks for the fish to eat. Right. So that's a bit chunky now. So what I'm going to do is, what you want to do is treat yourself to a riddle and put your ground bait over your riddle. Give it a little shake like that. Now, all those lumps, if you put those in, that's going to feed all your fish. It's not going to eat anything else for the rest of the day. So that's no good. So we want to rub those lumps through the riddle. And there we go. You can buy some electric mixers and things that do it, and they're really good. If you're mixing up a lot of ground bait, they're worth it. But if you're only going to mix up half a bag or something, then this is probably your best way of doing it. So you just get all those little lumps out, and then we've got a nice fluffy ground bait. That's gonna sink to the bottom, and then you can mix it into a little ball like that. So when you throw it in, you know that by the time it hits the bottom, it will break up on the bottom.
Right.
Again, if you're fishing a river and you want the bait to stay on the bottom, or it's a deep water, squeeze it a bit harder, make it a bigger ball. If you want it to stay in a ball on the bottom, squeeze it like that. You don't really want to do that, but if you want to get a ball a long way across the other side of the river, and just gets really involved. Oh, but there you go. It will break up, and you put it through that riddle, and it will break up. But if you're fishing here, you want to squeeze it just enough to hold it together, and that's about all you need to do. You don't really want it sitting in as a ball on the bottom. You want it to break up on the bottom like that. So the fish have got, as soon as the fish starts swimming over it, it goes all over the place on the bottom. Then all they've got is a smell on the bottom.
And they'll be. People can't notice it, but you can actually really smell that.
Yeah.
It's not unpleasant, but it's certainly filling up your nose. So you can imagine. Yeah. And that's in the lake. Yeah. That's going to attract fish to your swim.
Absolutely. And so if you've got some fine ground bait on the bottom, and you've got a piece of corn laying in amongst it, you can put 2 or 3 bits in with it if you like, just so they know what it's about. That could pay lots of dividends. That's it. That's your baits.